If we could get tonight's demoers to come up to the front, that'd be greatly appreciated as well. Everybody in the back, if you could find your way to a seat, we're going to get started right away. Do you think I need a bigger one? My voice needs to project. All right, hello everybody. I'm Doug Bennett, the director of the New York Tech Alliance, and welcome to the New York Tech Meetup. We have a great run of show tonight, but before we get started, I have a few items to share. Please know that we're recording tonight's event, and we'll be posting the video within a few days to the NYTA YouTube channel. You can subscribe to our channel and view this and past recordings by going to youtube.com/NYTechAlliance. Could we get everybody in the back to take a seat, please? Thank you. Everybody in the back, if you could make your way to a seat. Thank you. You can explore our videos on Geotag, which automatically indexes content so you can search and jump to the moments that matter most. Geotag also makes this content far more accessible. Videos are fully transcribed and searchable, captions are built in, and the interface makes it easier for people with hearing or vision disabilities to navigate and engage with the material at their own pace. Scan the QR code to see it in action, and say hello to Jeff Paul, Geotag's founder, and Pavan Mistry, developer of Geotag, at the table to my right over here, okay? Welcome those guys. For anyone new here, the New York Tech Alliance is a nonprofit that connects the New York Tech community throughout the 5 boroughs and beyond with a truly global reach. We're part of Civic Hall, and together we're part of FedCap Group, a nonprofit network that dates back to 1935 when it was founded to help disabled veterans find employment. Fast forward to today, we're a family of more than 40 companies operating across the US, Canada, the UK, and now Australia, focused on 4 key areas: workforce development, education, health, and economic mobility. Civic Hall occupies floors 1 through 7 of this building. It's about 85,000 square feet. We do 3 things here. We serve as a digital skills training center, helping a wide range of people access careers in tech. We operate an event center on floors 2 and 3. And we provide membership for both individuals and organizations. The infographic on the screen reflects the diversity of our members and the reach of our community here in New York and globally. Something I also want to highlight tonight is we've recently launched a really exciting esports workforce development initiative, which will culminate in a competition between teams here in New York City and our counterpart at FedCap UK. We'll be sharing more details on that very soon, but it's a great example of how we're using emerging industries to create new pathways into jobs and skills development. Gentlemen? Thank you. Tonight, Civic Hall is providing a free trial membership to everyone attending this evening if you'd like to give it a try and see if this might be a good place to work from and a community to be a part of. Scan the QR code on the screen and submit your info. We'd love to welcome you. Thanks to our annual sponsors who help make events like this one possible. With us tonight is the team from Ellis Law Group, and as mentioned earlier, the team from Geotag. Each has a table in the room, and I encourage you to stop by and say hello. Okay, so how many of you are attending a New York Tech Meetup for the first time? Okay, quite a few. Amazing. All right, so for all of you joining us for the first time, our meetups are all about the tech and the market opportunities each company is addressing. It's not about the business or revenue models. So those conversations can be had during networking time or elsewhere. So during the Q&A, please keep your questions on the tech and the problem or opportunity it's addressing. If not, you're likely to get booed, okay? So tonight, each company will have up to 4 minutes to demo, up to 4 minutes of audience Q&A, and a moment to pose and ask or offer. Given tonight's tight schedule, we have a countdown clock to help everyone stay on course. If anyone goes beyond the limit, they'll be kindly prompted to wrap up and allow all of you to ask your cues. Okay? Okay, so tonight we have a special meetup edition focused on neuro and health tech. We've reconnected with some wonderful friends and partners and welcome new ones in the neuro and health tech community. Tonight kicks off the work we're doing to spotlight the amazing people and some of the many tech products being developed in this sector in Metro NYC, and also to heighten awareness of exciting new areas in the workforce development arena. I'd like to first welcome Vic Pervaz, Senior VP of Life Sciences and Healthcare at the NYCEDC, to share the latest insights on the EDC's efforts supporting this industry. Hey Vic, welcome.
Thank you, Doug. I want to thank NeuroNYC and the New York City Tech Alliance for gathering all of you on a Monday evening. Who would imagine? I would gauge like 200 people in the Civic Hall. So thanks, everyone, for joining. I'm going to keep this brief. As Doug said, I have the privilege of leading the New York City Economic Development's Life Sci NYC initiative. It's a $1 billion initiative, and the privilege of my job is that I get to nurture and invest in the New York City innovation ecosystem. How do we make sure that innovation is cutting edge? Neurotech is right there. How do we make sure that it has impact to people and patients and communities that we live and work in? Neurotech is right there. So maybe I'll just paint a and I'm sure everyone in this room, if you'll just indulge me, are aware with some of the stats, right? So 3.4 billion people globally are impacted by neurological disorders. That's pretty significant. It's a burden of 1.14 trillion just for a segment of healthcare dedicated to that. That doesn't account for the magnitude of the problem that we're trying to tackle here. It's the #1 cause of disability globally. It's the #2 cause of death, right? So the magnitude of the brain trust that's in here, that we're trying to tackle with the brain trust in here is pretty significant. If I'll just bring it down to New York City, so let's talk about the bright side of what we have going on in New York City. What's required to get innovation off the ground, right? First, you need funding. Let's think about from the federal level, where we've had a lot of headwinds over the last year and a half, I would say. Surprisingly, but delightfully, the NIH Brain Initiative had a 35% increase in their funding just this past February. So I think we should clap for that. If you guys are not familiar with that initiative, it's an initiative that was created probably about a decade ago, but solely dedicated to mapping the brain and solving for neurological disorders. So, you know, funding, even from a federal level, when we've seen so much cutback in this domain, is coming in. From a city level, we have raised since the end of 2024 about $2.5 billion just for startups, about 30 plus startups that are dedicated to tackling and solving for neurological disorders. Some of those include Synchron, some of those include precision neuroscience, Click, and they're in a variety of domains, right? We have a convergence now. And that's the beauty of this gathering here, right? We're at a very unique precipice right now where it's not just research in the lab. It's research in the lab combined with technology, combined with the power of, you know, very specialized AI, not broad philosophical AI, but how are you going to use the power of AI? We have brain-computer interface. There's some great work going on in Dr. Bedeson's group in Mount Sinai, but that's not the only institution. The leading neuro NIH funding anywhere in any metro city comes to New York, and it's for Cornell, it's for Sinai, it's for Columbia, and so on. So the second piece that we have is we have the academic medical infrastructure to support this innovation, right? So we've got funding coming in, we've got academic medical infrastructure, and we've got the workforce. We also have something that's unrecognized, but is the beauty of adding it to that equation, is we have one of the most diverse patient populations anywhere in the world, right here in New York City, right? So when you're thinking about moving into clinical trials, all the pieces of that equation are right here. What's our job at the EDC? And I want to acknowledge my colleague, Alan. Stand up. Yeah, so Alan Kramak, he leads our business. Yeah, he deserves the clap. Thank you. He has to work with me. I think he deserves a standing ovation. That's a hard job. Alan leads our business development efforts for the Life Sci Initiative, so he and I will both be around. But our job in the privilege of working for the city in this capacity is we get to catalyze and convene and connect, right? That's our job. Our job is to be at sessions like this, which I consider to be the pulse and heart of innovation in New York City. This is where the magic happens, and I think Doug had mentioned, I hope you guys do use the time after the pitch to have those casual conversations. That's where some of those sparks and ideas occur. What else we can offer is we do have a program on our team where we offer small debt instruments for companies that are in, very mature seed or Series A. If you have any interest in that or think you're a candidate, edc.nyc, or please see Alan and myself. And then we also, focus on the mega infrastructure projects, right? Of how do we bring and attract cutting edge and novel science. We focus on connecting these institutions. Unlike other innovation ecosystems globally and in the US, we're not in a 4x4 square, right? We are in Long Island City, we're in West Harlem, we're in Brooklyn. And so one of the things that we're also doing at the EDC is we're trying to connect this vast and very deep ecosystem so that the power of 1 + 1 can indeed equal 3. So I won't bore you anymore with my comments. It is a pleasure to be here. Good luck to all the participants, and I hope you guys have a good time.
Thank you, Vic. So I'd next like to welcome Sar Lively, co-founder, chair, and president of NeuroNYC. Sar, Charles Rodenkirch, Galana Tostava, and the NeuroNYC team have been wonderful partners. Thanks to all of you for your help with making tonight's meetup happen. Please welcome Sar, who will talk about NeuroNYC, and welcome tonight's demoers in the neurotech space. Thanks so much, Sar.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. So my name is Sarah Lively. I'm one of the co-founders of NeuroNYC. We're a nonprofit organization focused on establishing the greater New York region as a global hub for neurotechnology. So our core mission is to bring this ecosystem together and bridge the gaps between companies, clinics, labs, and investors in the space in order to identify any unmet needs that they might have, drive collaboration between them, connect resources, and really scale impactful innovations. Also, a big part of what we do is community building and advocacy. So making sure that this technology is developed in a way that's ethical, transparent, and accessible, because that's really important. And we have a lot of great resources on our website, so if you want to check it out. So what's especially exciting right now is where this field is heading. And we're starting to see real breakthroughs in neurotech, from rehabilitation and brain mapping to non-invasive stimulation, cognitive enhancement, and even some early work on brain foundation models. So these technologies are moving out of the lab into the real world much faster than ever, as we can see. And tonight, we'll get a really cool glimpse into some of them. So we're going to have 4 really exciting demos from the NeuroNYC communities. And to kick things off, I would love to welcome Jamie Kurtz and Samantha Nussbaum, clinical specialists from Motus Nova, to give our first demo. They're building at-home robotic rehabilitation systems to help stroke and neurological patients to improve recovery through neuroplasticity.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. We are Jamie and Samantha, clinical specialists with Motus Nova. We're a company that's building technology to scale neurorehabilitation for stroke and other neurological conditions for their recovery at home. Our focus is simple. How do we help patients get the amount of therapy they actually need to recover?
Recovery after stroke depends on neuroplasticity, which requires high-dose repetition and task-specific movement. but most patients only receive a few hours of therapy per week. Access is limited by cost, insurance caps, and clinician availability. And home exercise programs often lack engagement, feedback, compliance, and consistency.
So there's a clear gap. Patients need significantly more repetitions than they actually get. The opportunity is to scale beyond the clinic into the home without sacrificing quality.
We have built the Motus hand and the Motus foot. It's an active-assisted robotic device that's designed for at-home use. They help the patients perform functional movements even if the patient has limited strength. And this enables the 400 to 600 repetitions needed to promote the neuroplasticity.
The system combines robotics, gamification, and remote care. Patients interact with game-based exercises that drive repetition, engagement, and along with our digital AI therapist, Mobot, they get all the repetitions that they need for neuroplasticity. Performance is then tracked, and therapy progresses over time. All right, so now we're gonna show you a little bit of one of our games. Click. So basically, through the use of a pneumatic pump, Mobot is able to provide either passive range of motion, active assistive range of motion, or resistance. Patients get those high-dose repetitive task practice where they get to play games that are fun and engaging and really get that mind-body connection going. So we have a specific angle sensor that can detect 0.1 of a degree of movement. And again, then the AI technology can recalibrate their home exercise program to provide that just right challenge. It's also a smooth air muscle type of technology that acts as though your real muscles with contraction and relaxation. So it doesn't intensify spasticity and tone, it then relaxes it, which is what we want in the neurological population. So this works because it solves three key problems. First, repetition. Patients can do significantly more therapy. Second, engagement. Gamification improves consistency. And third, access. Therapy is delivered directly in the home and is now covered by Medicare and other insurances.
For patients, this means more consistent therapy and improved functional outcomes. For healthcare, it means extending care beyond the clinical and in a scalable way. And for innovation, it creates data-driven platform for the future of recovery and combines cognitive engagement, plus it allows biofeedback.
So we're redefining how neurorehabilitation is delivered. If you're a clinician, researcher, or organization working with the neurological population, we'd love to partner on pilot programs or demos to bring this technology to your patients. If you're an engineer, founder, or part of the tech community, we're always open to collaborating on advancing rehabilitation through robotics, data, and scalable systems.
If you know any patients who could benefit from increased access to therapy at home, we'd be happy to support them. And in return, we offer hands-on demos, collaboration opportunities, and a chance to be part of building the future of neurorehabilitation together. We thank you so much, and we love to connect. Please stop by our table after to try the Motus hand or foot for a live demo. We're in the back table on the left.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So are we going right into the Q&A?
Does anyone have any cues?
Consumer for this?
So initially, our products were tested and proven on stroke patients. We have 24 peer-reviewed clinical studies on stroke recovery, and it was all funded by the NIH in partnership with a couple of other big-name places. However, since then, we've scaled it out to any neurological population, so MS, Parkinson's, Guillain-Barré, peripheral nerve injuries, TBI, spinal cord injuries. So we have a whole list so far that has been approved for insurance coverage, and the list keeps getting bigger and bigger, but they do need some sort of neurological diagnosis.
So that's where I'm headed. I recently had a very close friend who had a very serious stroke. And that person was very capably, so he thought, neurologically, but in effect was kind of killing himself along the line because he kept getting mini strokes. So none of the musculoskeletal thing that seems this addresses. What's the connection between what that does and the actual brain?
So in order to promote neuroplasticity, you really need to have that cognitive engagement. And so gamifying it makes you attend and focus to what you're doing. We have 26 different games that actually target a whole bunch of different skills like visual discrimination, visual tracking, reasoning, memory, problem solving, executive functioning, gross motor, fine motor. It's not just neuromuscular. And so we can always find games that are appropriate for the people and the individuals where they're at. So if somebody does have some cognitive deficits, there's lower level games that they'll be given access to. And as they improve, because in our studies we did show, improvement in their cognition alongside, their neuromuscular abilities as well.
And it's super important when the person engages in activities and reps that they're functional.
Yeah, goal-oriented, high repetition, task-specific. That's what's been proven in neuroscience to work the best.
New York Tech Alliance here. Oh, thank you. And I just want to thank you for this. It seems amazing, and I have a lot of people that I want to refer to you.
Please connect with us. Absolutely.
I'm wondering, how do you measure impact? Obviously, you have a scoring system with the game, but in terms of, obviously you are keeping track, I assume, of all the people you're caring for.
Yes.
But how do you measure, progress, and in what ways are you able to report that? So, I think it would just encourage people, obviously, if they could see the impact.
Absolutely. It's a great question. So we actually have recovery coaches that check in with the patients, either video chat or phone call, every month or as needed. And so they actually control settings on the back end. So they set specific parameters based on those assessments. And then Mobot, the digital AI therapist, can adjust in real time within those set parameters. We are an FDA Class 1 medical device, so we are safe and effective for home use, but we don't give patients the opportunity to adjust settings where it could cause harm. Okay. So we are in control of that. And during those assessments is where we can show them that progress. We also have real-time reporting on the device. So we collect 50 data points per second.
Wow.
And so we can also, whoever referred them, like their doctors, their therapists, we can also print out progress reports for those individuals as well to track progress. So
love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great.
Yes?
Oh, hi, Jim Cavuto from Neurotech Reports. Great presentation. My question is, does Motus develop its own hardware and software, or do you work with other third parties like Neurolutions, which I think is now called Candu?
No, we develop it ourselves.
Everything is developed in-house,
Yeah.
including the Mobot.
Yes. Yes. So our engineers in Atlanta are the ones that develop the software. And every time there's an update, new software, new games, it gets remotely sent through Wi-Fi to the users. So even if they get their device now, in a year from now, we have new games, they'll get it.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Jamie and Samantha. This was amazing. Next, I'd love to welcome Charles Rodenkirk, who is actually also a co-founder of NeuroNYC and the founder and CEO of Sharper Sense, which he'll be demoing for us tonight. Sharper Sense is building wearable, non-invasive neuromodulation patches that can enhance sensory perception and cognitive clarity by stimulating nerves in the neck.
Thank you, Sar. I'm Charles Rodenkirk, CEO of Sharper Sense. I have a doctorate in biomedical engineering from Columbia, where I developed this technology in their neural engineering lab. Sharper Sense is a single-use wearable neural interface that, when worn on the neck, enhances cognition and sensory processing. We're developing this for our customers in the military, but we're designing the hardware in a way that's already ready for mass consumption. This technology is non-invasive, safe, and sends a comfortable electrical field through the skin to activate nerves on the neck. It's worn at an interesting nexus of nerves and biosignals, which allows us to do a lot, and specifically, we can drive a benefit that's almost universally desired, which is optimized cognition and sensory perception. We're first addressing the problem that fatigue and distractions impair the brain's ability to accurately process information, including senses, and this leads to misperceptions, human errors, and for our partners in the military, catastrophe. Right now, they're addressing this problem with psychostimulant pills, but these pills are addictive, have side effects, and when you want to sleep after a mission, you can't turn them off. So our patch, this single-use neural stimulation patch, provides a rapid benefit. Within seconds of application, we're activating neural pathways that enhance cognition, and that benefit lasts until removal. But once you take it off and stop stimulation, these neurochemicals fall back to baseline in the brain, allowing you to use this in the middle of the night and still sleep afterwards. The technology is a daily disposable, so entirely maintenance-free and very reliable. We've made it very safe, and it lasts for 12 hours, so throughout a whole mission. We published the original animal studies in Nature Neuroscience, and then did pilot clinical studies at Cornell, which we published in Nature Scientific Reports in Neuromodulation, that confirms this technology reliably enhances things like speech comprehension, visual acuity, and auditory processing. Why are we targeting the neck? Well, we're targeting a site called the carotid triangle here in the neck, which has a nexus of influential nerves, including the vagus nerve, and also crucial biosignals, the carotid artery, respiration, etc. And our current product right now is stimulation only. So we activate those multiple nerves in concert, which all have pathways that project to the brain and cause the release of norepinephrine. Norepinephrine is what a psychostimulant drug modulates to enhance attention. Instead of blocking reuptake, we stimulate release, and this leads to enhanced cognition. We're now in the process of evolving this technology from our open loop stimulation patch into a two-way interface and adding recording of these critical biosignals so we can tailor the stimulation to the end user, as well as provide an index of cognitive state to these battlefield networks. Our first users in the Army and Air Force are looking to mitigate fatigue and reduce human error in high liability environments. And we see this really as a dual-use technology, and we'll soon look to expand into synergistic commercial and consumer applications. Things like first responders that have similar needs, as well as aspiring athletes and students, anyone who's in competition or staying up late at night. Today, I'm looking for any introductions to people who are operating commanders or procurement authorities across military groups or first responders. And we're also looking to talk to Series A investors after we just raised our seed round last year. And with that, happy to take questions.
Hi, very interesting. I was wondering, in terms of the hardware, are you thinking of something one-time use or something that is reusable? And what kind of application are you trying to target, like for regular consumers?
Yeah, so the hardware that we've designed right now is a daily disposable. So lasts for one 12-hour session, and then you can dispose of it afterwards. So no charging, no maintenance. And this allows for a very reliable device for our military partners. But as we transition to consumers, it allows us to sell a device over the counter at a very reasonable price point, 10 to 20 bucks, which removes a lot of friction in trying neurotech. You don't have to premeditate the purchase, and you don't have to spend hundreds of dollars just to try out the effect. So we think that this is a winning form factor for both our military and dual-use partners.
Hey, oh, sorry. Hey, Charles. I think I'm up next, yeah? Travis Millman, CEO, Valley of Death Partners. I help deep tech startups move across that notorious valley. I remember seeing your work when you were back at Columbia. So congratulations on coming so far.
Thanks.
My question is, you mentioned animal studies, you mentioned pilot work, but what's the state of your efficacy research that really shows that this stuff works in action when we need it?
Yeah, so we did the pilot clinical studies, which are, was blinded studies and now been peer-reviewed and published. We're working with the military right now, testing this in mission simulators, things like piloting drones, planes, et cetera, and looking at enhancement. Well, they have simulated fatigue, so making people stay up for 48 hours and do these tasks. So into 2027, some of that data from the military should start getting released. And we see working with the military as a great way to work with scientists on their end that really understand the mechanism of action and build a real, true credibility for this technology that other consumer devices don't have.
Hey, Charles. Jordan Bronstein with Sequoia. So really interested in the norepinephrine aspect of it. Is there a ramp-up period, and are there any side effects?
So we ramped the stimulation very briefly. So we've done a lot of things to make it very comfortable. But the effect within about 15 to 30 seconds, you have the effect of enhanced cognition. So neural stimulation is a lot faster than taking an oral drug. So this is a huge advantage also over the amphetamines. As far as side effects, we haven't had any adverse effects across the hundreds of our studies in humans. Less than 1% of people have some skin irritation. So if you have very sensitive skin, might have preclude you for use right now.
In the direction, I'm over here. In the direction of side effects, have you tested repeated use? Because with first responders or military personnel, you might imagine people using it repeatedly, and whether there's safety considerations with prolonged use.
Yeah, that's a great question. So we are just starting to look at studies for, let's say, extended use in humans. We did do extended studies in animals across months and didn't see any drop off in baseline performance and no reduction in the enhancement. One thing that we can look at is people have been stimulating some of these nerves in that site previously in medical causes and have done so without any major side effects or adverse effects. Largely, the issues they've had were due to the implanted surgical equipment that they're putting in there. So we solve that by doing this non-invasively. I don't know if I'm supposed to call on people if there's a mic being passed around, but.
Quick question on the specificity. How do you know it's noradrenaline and not, for instance, cholinergic system, cholinergic or even serotonin?
Yeah, so for example, looking at the vagus nerve pathway, or in general, the LC norepinephrine system is connected with the basal forebrain acetylcholine. So when we stimulate norepinephrine, we're also causing acetylcholine release. In animal studies, we actually used pharmaceutical blockers. So we could block the effects of acetylcholine or norepinephrine while we're stimulating. We're able to show that it's actually the norepinephrine that is enhancing performance. And then we actually did recording along sensory pathways and looking at how sensory information is being encoded and could show how norepinephrine enhances that pathways. But yes, we're also causing acetylcholine release as well.
Just another quick question over here. Is there sort of like a habituation effect? So will users need to increase parameters over time over the prolonged use, or they can just sort of remain in the baseline parameters for a long duration?
Yeah, so we didn't see that habituation in our animal models. Importantly, no one's going to use this overnight. So you're always going to have a long washout period between the days. Interestingly, if you look at people that have been doing vagus nerve stimulation for epilepsy, they don't see a reduction in efficacy over time or having to crank that up in intensity. So we're hopeful that we'll see something similar when we move to more long-term studies.
Thank you, Charlie. Finally, from NeuroNYC, we have Jonathan Hacker, CEO of NeurGear, who is developing a wearable ultrasound vagus nerve stimulation device for stress and nervous system regulation.
Hello, everybody. Give me a moment here to back up to our deck, and we'll get things started. How's everyone doing tonight? Good, I know, right? Neurotech in New York City, I love it. So I'm here today to talk with you all about precision nervous system control with my lovely baby NeuRGear and what we're doing today to help people gain back control of their nervous systems. Now I have a question for the audience here today, and I'd like a raise of hands. Who here either has personally experienced chronic stress or has a loved one or someone they know that is currently in the eddies of chronic stress? Can I get a round of hands here? Okay, I don't think I saw a single hand that remained down with that, to be honest with you. We all know that this is a massive problem. And it's been a massive problem for a good number of years now. There's certain trends that are making it even worse. Let's be honest, I'm young, guys, I'm 24. When I went to college, it was in the midst of the quarantine. And that just freaking killed the social scene, and it killed a lot of our ability in my generation to really have that sort of social connection that is crucial for good nervous system regulation. So this is something that really I personally, and clearly everyone here personally, cares about. And I'm here today to tell you about something that we believe is rather incredible when it comes to dealing with chronic stress, and that is vagus nerve stimulation. It's backed up by decades of science. We understand that it works quite nicely in helping reactivate that rest and digest system, which in chronic stress, the main problem is that you're constantly in this survival state. We help you get out of that. We know that it's hard, and that's why we're going to help you directly. And this is the product, ZenBud. I've been wearing it on my neck this whole time. Wow, such a big surprise. No one guessed that that's what this was. It's a headset. We have some ultrasound transducers in here that directly help you activate your vagus nerve in the ear. You wear it like a headset. You plug into your phone. You listen to your favorite playlist. Personally, I like to listen to lo-fi. I understand that not everyone has the same taste as I do, but I think it's a pretty cool thing to listen to while stimulating my vagus nerve with the ZenBud. And we understand that there's a ton of noise in mental health. There's a lot of companies that will try to bring these sort of technologies to market without doing the proper research. So, we started this company with the understanding that we wanted to do the research from the ground up. There's over 9 independent clinical trials. You can scan that QR code right there for our research library. Don't worry, if you don't catch it now, there will be another QR code at the end of the deck. It'll lead you a contact form. You can just reach out and ask for it. I'm happy to share that information. And we have a vision too. Obviously, we have a vision, but we are starting with the consumer wellness markets. We believe that it's important to iterate quickly and to build products that actually meet people's needs. And that doesn't happen in the research lab, that happens out in the real world. We do believe in clinical expansion. Our first target indication will be anxiety. We're in the process of a breakthrough device designation application right now. And in the future, we do believe that AI doesn't only have to contribute to our stress load, it can also help reduce it. And that's where closed loop systems come in play. And that is NeuRGear. We are seeking distribution partners for our ZenBud product. We are seeking government partners that want to collaborate. We already do have a CRADA with the AFRL, so if that's the right vehicle, just let us know. And we're actually searching for seed investors. Right now, we are closing our 500K tranche into the round. That's at a 5 million cap. And that, based on the current momentum, it looks like to close by the end of this week. So if this is something that you care about, it's something you want to get involved with, and if anything I said resonated, take a look at that QR code or text me. That's my number. I'm putting my personal number out there. Let's hope no one misuses it. Okay, I'm ready for some questions, folks.
Jonathan Drucker from A&T Neuro. Why ultrasound and not electrical? And are you and the electrical nerve stim guy going to fight later?
I've heard that we're going to have a little bit of a fight club. Oh, sorry, we're not allowed to talk about it. My apologies.
It's the first rule, man.
But I know, right? Like, just a bit frazzled on stage. You guys are making me very nervous right now. I need to get the ZenBud out. So here's the answer. We're using ultrasound because there are some users out in industry that don't like the sound of electrical. That's one piece of it. When it comes to folks that are dealing with anxiety and chronic stress, telling them that you're going to shock them to help you fix that has a very bad connotation around it. Yes, we understand that electricity works well for neurostimulation. It does. Not as well for deeper targets, but that's its own piece. But part of the reason why we innovated around ultrasound and we pushed the frontier with ultrasound is because we understand that there is an extremely important factor of consumer compliance and user compliance, both in the patient and consumer world. And there's also some rather incredible research around ultrasound, and we're seeing some really, really cool results with our clinical studies, which may indicate higher efficacy or may not. But in the end of the day, it is a usability factor that I think is the most critical, and it's the reason why this neurotech as an industry has had such problems getting out to larger market, is there's just such a high friction with usage. And I mean, massive respect to the form factor for Sharper Sense, and Charles over here, you've done a lot of really cool work, and there's certain applications where that makes a lot more sense. But we want to aim for the folks that are maybe a little bit off-put by electrical, and we want to help them get into the neurostimulation world. Okay. Next question. Don't leave me hanging, guys. You were all raising your hands just a couple minutes ago.
How do you calibrate for each individual person's anatomy? Because I'm assuming everyone's bone structure and head shape is different.
We're not going through the skull, so we're not doing transcranial stimulation. So we're actually focusing on something called the auricular branch of the vagus nerve that's in the sympacontra region. That's decently consistent placement between individuals. And so what we do is we stimulate the region where that's located. And this is currently an open loop system. Part of our vision, actually, is to build closed loop systems powered by AI. That's in the long term. But we also understand that cost is a big factor for usage. And that's going to add a lot of cost and complexity in an early stage. And so we want to build something that's efficacious, easy, and just like frictionless.
Got a question over here. Right here. To the right.
Awesome.
Left. I
There we
don't
go.
know
Thank you.
close. Yeah. So how did you decide on the intensity parameters of the headset itself? Like, did you work with other engineers with their collaboration, or it was just purely science-backed?
So we did two things. First off, we did a pretty massive literature review, which you can read some of that in the science data room. So get in contact. And then we said, okay, let's actually test some of these things. Not everything that was in the literature review was accurate because a lot of science is making mistakes, right? And so we took that as a base and we refined off of it to come to our current parameters today. And it seems to be working really well in our clinical studies.
I have a question.
Cool.
So here.
Awesome.
I want to know more about your clinical studies because I work on vagus nerve stimulation too, and so transauricular vagus nerve stimulation electrically has some evidence, and ultrasound is an extremely great idea, and especially low intensity ultrasound. And I have seen papers showing in other organs, spleen, some other places, low intensity ultrasound doing neural stimulation. But I really want to know and understand how you do stimulate vagus with
This is
transauricular
probably
ultrasound.
more than a 4-minute answer, and we're just running out of time. Scan that QR code, put exactly what you just said in there, and I'm happy to answer that question directly off stage or just catch me later. Our science data room also talks exactly to that question. So feel free to check it out.
Thank you.
I apologize. Oh, you do need this. My apologies.
Okay. All right. So everybody, our next partner, Startup Health, Steve Krein was not able to be here with us tonight. But I do want to thank Steve and his team for connecting us with Kavi and Matul, who will soon be demoing with us. I'd also like to share a little bit about Startup Health and the impact they're making in the healthcare arena. Okay. David, do we have... So we had a little... let's get to the... There we go. All right. Come on. There we go. All right. So Startup Health was founded in 2011 on a simple but radical premise that improving the health and well-being of everyone in the world isn't just an aspiration, it's an organizing principle. With a 30-year mission and a portfolio of more than 330 companies across 6 continents in 26 countries, Startup Health has built the world's largest health innovation portfolio, backed by some of the healthcare's most respected names. Co-founders Steve Krein and Unity Stokes call their entrepreneurs health transformers, a global community working to solve the most pressing health challenges of our time, from curing cancer and Alzheimer's to extending human longevity and delivering quality care to billions of underserved people. So I just wanted you to know a little bit about Startup Health since they couldn't be here with us tonight, and to recognize them and to thank them for being a part of this. And I'd like to now welcome Kavi Misri of Hibiscus Health, who will tell us about Hibiscus Health. Come on up.
Well, I could clearly use NeurGear right about now. Hi, I'm Kavi Misri, CEO and founder of Hibiscus Health. And at Hibiscus Health, we have created the Healthy Selfie. So using a 30-second scan of your face, we can look at the waveforms and detect your vitals. So with about an 85% accuracy, we can detect your cholesterol levels, your triglyceride levels, and your hemoglobin A1C levels. And with a 98% accuracy, we can detect your blood pressure and your heart rate. We are essentially turning every camera that you guys are using right now into a medical instrument. But a big question for you guys, how many of you know your cholesterol levels or your hemoglobin A1C levels? Okay, so that's like 5%. That's the problem. Most people don't know their own risks, and 1 in 2 Americans are either pre-diabetic or diabetic, and that leaves millions of folks who unfortunately have not been to the doctor in years. And we live in New York City. You guys can literally go to One Medical right now, get your blood checked. So just imagine rural America. We sell to self-funded employees, health plans, and providers who purchase our product to be able to mitigate risk and identify risk early. And the reason that this problem exists is because of the status quo. There's one tool out there to detect cardiometabolic risk, and that's a blood test. But unfortunately, it's inconvenient, it's hard to access, it's costly, and a lot of people just have a lack of knowledge of why they need it. So here comes the healthy selfie. So using the waveforms in your face, similar to how a pulse oximeter works, where the pulse oximeter goes on your finger and is able to intercept your waveforms, that's called photoplasmography. We are doing what's called remote photoplasmography. So using the lens on your camera, it projects light onto the nose bridge, down to the face, picks up your waveforms, and on a millisecond by millisecond basis, it cuts the waveform to be able to look at the density, the strength, the speed, and the overall strength of that waveform, and then can allow our AI model to determine whether it's a cholesterol waveform, a hemoglobin A1C waveform, a blood pressure, and so on. So this is a non-invasive, patented way, so we received our patent in January of this year, to detect cardiovascular risk, and we do have a pipeline of about 8 different indications ranging all the way from cardiovascular to be able to detect to detect arrhythmias and ejection fraction, all the way to in R&D to detect breast cancer and prostate cancer through prolactin and PSA. We also pair this with longitudinal care. So we do have clinicians in-house, doctors, nurses, as well as registered dietitians that can actually provide the care. So we don't just give you the results, we actually teach you how to fish. So gone are the days of going to the doctor, they tell you you should just eat better and exercise. We actually bring that accountability to you. We are in market, we have 4 enterprise clients, we have about $14 million pipeline. We raised about $4 million so far. We're raising a $3 million round. I'm out of time, but just quickly, on the outcome side, this is really where you see the significant results. So with just one email to the employee, we get 40% of the company doing the face scan. With each additional email, we get about 10% more. So at the end of the month, we get about 60% of employees doing the face scan. From there, we see that about 67% of all employees have at least one chronic condition or one cardiovascular risk, and about 70% of them end up scheduling an appointment to see our dietitians. 10 more seconds. So after they see our dietitians, 98% of them provide or are able to have clinically significant outcomes, and we save the companies about $6 million for every 1,000 employee. Happy to answer any questions from there.
Hey, Kavi.
Hi.
Hey, I love that you are providing also care with the data. How are you integrating or talking to the larger healthcare networks here in New York City, for example?
Yep. So with the existing, so we are in network with Aetna, Blue Cross, Cigna, United Healthcare, and that's mostly where for the dietitian care we are able to bill for services. We're only 2 years old, 2.5 years old. So we've started with small employers, medium employers, now in conversation and final conversations with like the Google, Accenture, AT&T, and now entering conversations with a Health First as the first health plan. But really now getting involved there. Obviously, there's a trajectory that we're going after, and health plans is on the 2026 pipeline. I'm sorry? Is it more than just LiDAR? In what sense? Are you just using the LiDAR camera? Or is there no, so...
How does this go beyond the LiDAR camera
Sure, so
that's used
it uses any camera. So any camera that's beyond 2019, essentially, uses, as long as we're able to capture the waveforms, since the skin is translucent, as long as we're able to capture that waveform, we're able to run on any camera, on a kiosk, on a tablet, on a webcam. So essentially any camera we're able to pick up.
What waveform?
So we're using the waveforms on your cheek, similar to the way that I mentioned on being able to look at your finger with a pulse oximeter.
Hi, yeah. Speaking more about the connection with the pulse oximeter, it's been some while since I've worked in biophotonics, so please excuse me on this question. But my understanding was you need a sensor directly on the skin to be able to see the way that the light actually curves through.
Mm-hmm.
So how does it work when you have a camera that's, maybe a foot away from your skin?
Yep, so it's the way that we train the actual data itself. We do connect a pulse oximeter while we're collecting the data set. And this technology has been around for about 15 years or so, being able to use remote photoplasmography. So being able to project the camera down the nose bridge and then being able to send that back into the AI model, that is how we're able to actually pick up the waveforms itself.
Quick question over here. Over here. I'm familiar with a couple plays in this space, and one of the things I noticed in some of their technology, and I'd like to understand how you guys are addressing it, is they would ask questions about how people were feeling, and then feed that into the AI model. And when those were opposites, their AI, even if the data was the same, the AI model would change massively in what it was saying. So how are you dealing with it? Are you guys asking other questions on top of this, on top of your sensing technologies? And then second, how does the natural room lighting change the results? Like I have a bunch of blue and red lights on me right now over here. Is that going to change the results past if I'm out in daylight, past if I'm in a dark corner? And how are you guys addressing that?
So we're definitely not a good bar trick, I can tell you that. You do need good lighting in order for this to work, as well as good Wi-Fi or good internet speeds. There is if you do the scan with us in the back, you'll see that at the bottom, it actually calculates the level of light and the level of data. So the scan won't go through unless there's good lighting and good data. So as long as there's fair lighting, whether that's just the lights in a room or natural light, that will work. And in terms of the first question, we do not ask any additional questions. It's strictly based on the actual waveforms in your face.
So one quick question. So does it work with the pediatric case, or is it?
No, unfortunately, we haven't gotten there yet, and that's mostly because of the data collection. Our data collection only consists of 18 and above. We are looking into pediatric and looking at the earlobe to see if we can pick up some sensors like SpO2, but as of right now, it does not work on the pediatric side, strictly adults.
Okay, next up is Metul Desai of the Care Hack. The Care Hack delivers reimbursable support for the most overlooked and high-cost part of healthcare, family caregivers managing behavioral and cognitive disabilities. Welcome, Atul.
Hello, everyone. I am Meetup Desai. Let me find my slides first. There we go. So I'm Meetup Desai, co-founder and CEO of the Care Hack. Over 20 years ago, my brother came home from college almost unrecognizable. We eventually learned that he had schizophrenia. And in that moment, my life and my parents' lives changed forever, as we became one of 30 million Americans caring for a loved one with a behavioral or a cognitive disability. Our responsibilities started with things like just trying to find the right doctor, and eventually grew to managing a whole range of complex tasks. The extreme stress and unpredictability eventually took its toll on our own health too. And while my brother had professionals who were at least trying to help him, my parents and I had no one. No support, no training, and no guidance. Without proper support, caregivers, particularly in this population, often don't know what to do. They eventually burn out, and that leads to treatment gaps for their loved ones. This contributes to bad outcomes and massive costs across the system. Avoidable hospitalizations alone total $50 billion a year. That's why we built the Care Hack, to solve one of healthcare's most costly failure points. We deliver help to the families and also deliver value to the healthcare system because we know the system can do better. We've digitized a proven family support model and enhanced it with on-demand access to interactive skills training, AI-supported human coaching, and peer community. Our dashboard enables families to plan proactively and track progress of their loved one. To ensure that our digital platform stays clinically rigorous, we maintain a close partnership with Harvard's McLean Hospital, the nation's leading psychiatric affiliate. We reach families by partnering with healthcare providers and insurers, but we know that the last thing clinicians want to do is learn another app. That's why we follow the digital Hippocratic Oath, 0 extra clicks. We make it so that providers can enable support for the families of their patients with no extra burden on a doctor's day. Our solution helps families by creating less stressed and more effective caregivers. For providers, this means less patient no-shows, more efficient visits, and new billing revenue that our platform automatically enables. For insurers, more effective and less stressed families means treatment plans that are actually followed. It means patients get the care they need and crises are prevented before they hit the ER. The results are undeniable. Study after study shows that the exact model that we've digitized leads to 35% fewer hospitalizations. We're targeting a $1.5 billion market opportunity with providers. We'll take those proof points and those data and address in 18 months the large national payer opportunity. Insurers are desperate to find new ways to lower utilization for this high-cost population, and we're going to be there to help them. We've had incredible progress, in particular over the last 6 months, that we're really proud of. We've signed a deal with a multi-state behavioral health private practice, and we recently won a multi-year $400,000 New York State Medicaid contract. We now have 20,000 lives under contract, as well as a strong pipeline that includes several major providers and an innovative regional insurer. My co-founder and I know this problem because we've lived it. I've been a caregiver for over 20 years. I've also led multiple cross-functional product and tech teams at multiple blue chip firms. My co-founder, Dr. Eli Schalenberg, is a community psychiatrist who's worked with hundreds of families and patients and also piloted new models of care. We're in the middle of a $500,000 round. We're about 40% done. We're actively looking for folks to help us close this round so we can get back to work. Join us. so that we can ensure that no other family has to suffer in isolation like mine did. Thank you. Raise your hand. There's got to be one question. Come on. There we go.
Amazing. Thank you. So you mentioned your own personal story with this. What keeps you going in approaching this particular indication space? And why did you start on this technology in the first place?
I'm sorry, what was the question about the indication?
So what got you, so I know you mentioned some of your personal story. What keeps you focused on this indication? Is it your personal story? Do you have any other experience with this indication space that keeps you on this?
Yeah, good question. So we're actually starting with mental illness with a focus on serious mental illness. There's 14 million people in this country with serious mental illness. So think schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, chronic depression. This is the biggest unmet need. It also happens to be one of the highest cost populations that insurers just have a really difficult time handling. The majority of them actually live with their families. And so families are in some ways the most underutilized asset in behavioral health care. And so we activate that asset to drive benefit across the system. So mental illness, and we're rapidly going to be expanding to other conditions, namely dementia and Alzheimer's. Exactly, yeah, it's for the family caregivers, yeah.
Hi, sorry, right here, right at the back. Hi, I wanted to ask about, so you mentioned that this company is essentially for the family, like for the caregivers, and you mentioned that it makes the process easier, like it connects them with the clinic, or you said that it becomes like the process is smoother, there's less barriers. So what exactly becomes faster? Like, is it, I know that you connect them with community spaces, but is this like an in-person space? Is it like kind of like a group therapy setting? Is it like you make the clinical procedures easier? What's the like exact deliverables, I guess?
That's a really good question. So you're basically asking about how do we bring families closer to the center of care, right? Which is something that we've needed for a very long time, again, particularly in these chronic complex conditions. So we do that in two ways. So we help the families with all the features that I mentioned, including, I didn't have time to explain, but we uniquely enable families to log at-home observations, which are automatically delivered to their loved one's provider. That means that when the patient shows up, they don't have to spend the first 15 minutes asking what happened in the last 2 weeks or in the last 30 days, right? So you get more effective and efficient session visits from the provider. We also enable new billing revenue. There's a couple of different codes that our platform is relevant for, and we automatically surface those codes for our provider clients. And then, of course, you know, when the families are supported, that means that the patients actually show up to their visits, which is also beneficial to the providers. And the last thing I'll say, the reason why, you know, I talked about the digital Hippocratic Oath, 0 extra clicks, it literally takes under 60 seconds for a provider. We're not asking them, they don't need to use this app, it's for the families of their patients. They just ask the patient, is it okay for us to share this with your family? And then they get the main caregiver's name and phone number, and we do the rest.
Hey, Matul, that was really powerful story and resonated with me. So what about pediatrics, similar to the question, and when does the care hack kick in terms of the diagnosis or go on?
Yeah, two really good questions. So right now we're focused on family caregivers of adults. We've been asked if we'll cover youth mental health caregivers. We're not there yet, but it's on a roadmap, something we're exploring, and it kicks in when we do our partnership with providers and insurers. So you know, we don't want the families ever to pay. We believe we deliver real value to the healthcare system, and so it's whenever the provider we do the contract and they start rolling it out across all their clinic sites, and then same with insurers. Yeah. But we do, you ask, just implicit in your question is something else around moments that matter, when caregivers are most motivated to get the support, right? So diagnosis, change in meds, a crisis, we've mapped out all these moments that matter that sort of incentivize families to use our app even more.
Wait.
Thank you.
Sorry, one question. I'm sorry. I'm obviously coming at it as a person with a disability. Much of the disability community loves their families, and then there's the complex part of the family dynamic. How do we know that they're giving accurate information? Like in the case of a Britney Spears, or, you know, there are cases, Munchausen by proxy. How do we, you know, is there a way for the patient to also take control of their care if necessary?
That's such a good question. I mean, that is why of the only 2 steps we ask providers to take, it's first to get consent from the patient. We don't share it with the family unless the patient gives us consent. And then we spend a lot of time actually educating the families on how to use this properly in a way that's accurate and actually helps the care routine. And then, of course, the provider is there in the middle to be an extra filter. But that's a really good question. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right, guys, to bring it home, we've got Jenna Sharma of Learn Mobo. Learn Mobo is a medically accurate sex education platform. Let's hear it for
Thank you,
Jenna.
Doug. Hi, everybody. I'm Jenna. I am the co-founder of Learn Mobo, and we are building sex education for today. Sex education is worse today than it was 20 years ago. 50% of kids get poor sex ed, 17% of kids get no sex ed, and so only 1/3 of kids get anywhere close to reasonable sex education. And that's bad. That's bad because there is over 100 years of research that shows how sex education directly drives greater social and public health outcomes, and the absence of it has real, tangible consequences. Sex ed reduces relationship violence, it reduces teen pregnancy, which increases social mobility, it creates better boundaries, it helps protect children against child abuse. When you have sex education, you have less bullying, you have less homophobia. There is endless research. It is undeniable that comprehensive sex education works. And you know what? Almost everyone already knows that. People want sex ed. The majority of states in the US do require sex education to be taught in some capacity. And the majority of parents across political lines want schools to teach sex ed. And so when all of that is the case, why doesn't it happen? People love to make sex education political, but I'm here to tell you that sex education isn't failing because of values, it's failing because of delivery. Districts pass down requirements to schools across all these states, but districts have no idea how or if those requirements are even being taught. Teachers are overworked and underprepared. They aren't trained to teach an entirely new curriculum. I know I'm not the only person in this room whose gym teacher taught them sex ed. And the materials that they use are built entirely by nonprofits, which means that a lot of this material is outdated. They're textbooks or brochures from the 90s. And ultimately, parents want visibility. We see the consequence of that. We know that parents are suing schools because they're lacking the visibility into what curriculum is being taught. And so this is where Learn Mobo makes it easy. Learn Mobo makes sex education easy. It's engaging and gamified. Districts get real data with a dashboard and transparency on what's being taught to be able to drive accountability. It's standards aligned. It's expert reviewed. Parents get complete visibility easily by giving them a login. It's modern. We talk about things like Snapchat, which I know most people are not teaching kids about. And you can use it forever, right? We're building it to work across age groups. You don't have to use static printouts when you have interactive case studies that test how kids are processing the information they're being given. You don't have to show your kids documentaries from 2001. Kids love games. They love interaction, and that's how they're learning nowadays anyway. And others have tried. Like I mentioned, the organizations, the competitive market are nonprofits. They recognize that digital modern curriculum is important, but they're not tech teams. We're a tech team. People look at us and sometimes they say we're niche. But in a world where AI is actively uprooting education and healthcare, I would argue that everyone will always need sex education. The market is ultimately massive. We have spent no money on marketing. We launched earlier this year. We are entirely bootstrapped. We have over 100 signups. I have a week filled with East Coast schools, from charter school networks to private schools to homeschool co-ops and to districts. For the last year, we've focused on learning and iterating, working with all of those piloters, and now we are entering our next chapter of growth. We're two founders. We have a history of working at startups. We're both engineers. We both understand the breadth of the opportunity, and we are looking for support. And so if this resonated, join the next chapter with us. We love piloters. The more feedback, the better. If you're a parent, a teacher, an adult who never got sex education, we want your feedback. We're also looking for advocates, people who know places that need sex education and are willing to make an introduction. And of course, now we're looking for investors. We're starting to engage investors who agree with our mission and our vision and who are interested in coming aboard. And so if that is you, please reach out to me or reach out to partnerships@learnmobo.com. Any questions? Oh, there's some.
Hi, I think what you're doing is really, really cool. I grew up in Pakistan,
you.
so you can imagine there was no sex education. So this is really incredible. I was just curious, like you mentioned, that sex education is really, really defined by the political values of the state. So how do you work around that? Because I imagine that in a more conservative state, it might be, I don't know, illegal to have sex education about more niche topics, or if you're wondering about like trans sex education, things like that, like homosexual relationships, things like that. I was just curious about how do you work around that?
Yeah, such a great question, and actually one of the use cases that we primarily built for. So one of our first piloters was two educators who worked in Alabama, Mississippi, and Georgia, and they taught sex education in those places. And you're right. State guidelines vary dramatically across where you're at. If you're in California, you have comprehensive sex education. If you're in Alabama, you're literally not allowed to speak specific topics. The problem is that a lot of the sex education material that exists today that's limited is one size fits all. You can't customize it. You can't remove topics, you can't add topics, you can't do any of that stuff. And so by modularizing sex education, you basically are able to meet people where they're at. So our philosophy is to take a neutral approach to sex education and basically say that you don't have to have California's beautiful rainbows, everything that you could possibly learn about comprehensive sex education. You can just start with healthy relationships. You can just start with HIV and AIDS prevention, right? You can get something that is easy to use for your state and in your political situation, and ultimately be able to start to build that foundation that these kids can build on for the rest of their lives. So yeah, we meet people where they are, and we do it through customization.
Hey,
so you hinted at the. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I was just curious. Talk a little more about social media. You mentioned Snapchat, and I was interested in that.
Yeah, so a lot of research nowadays, as you all probably know, kids are super online, and they use things like Snapchat, but they also, there's a growing phenomenon amongst teenagers where they're building nudifying pictures of each other, and there's lawsuits happening in Texas where kids are making deep fakes of their peers. Ultimately, a lot of the materials that exist don't account for that. And you also have teachers who have no idea how to navigate those topics. And I've spoken to a teacher who had a little girl stand up, got a Snapchat from somebody, went into the room crying, and she had no idea how to handle it. And so ultimately what we're doing is we're working with experts, and we're building curriculum that actually accounts for those things. So we're not ignoring the fact that porn exists. We're not ignoring the fact that kids send nudes on Snapchat and they make deep fake nudes of their peers. What we're doing is we're acknowledging it, and we're talking about boundaries and sexual harassment and how to mitigate these things. Because ultimately there are public health outcomes that we can mitigate, right? Like teen pregnancy, but a huge part of this is consent awareness. Kids need sexual harassment training. As adults, we're all required to take it in our workplace. What makes kids excused from that? Oh, sorry. No, you guys were.
You hinted at this in your talk. You chose not to go the nonprofit route. I was curious why.
Yeah, great question. Well, first, my background is in privatized startups. And so I see the value of growth and what happens when you can get people to pay for things. And ultimately, I believe that we can get a lot of innovation driven at very lean margins by charging people for it. And so I think we can do it really, lean, and I think we can get private investors. But ultimately, our goal is to build a privatized space where we can make money off of sex education and then ultimately subsidize it for public spaces. And so the idea is that, the nonprofit route ultimately has a lot of those sort of regulatory burdens that startups that are privatized and, can sort of get around.
My question, quick. Why the intermediary with government? Why not go directly to the parents?
So we're actually doing all of the above. So some of our primary user base actually right now is homeschooling co-ops and homeschools. And so what we're doing is we're building up. And so we start with homeschools, and then we're talking to private schools, and we're talking to youth organizations, and we're talking to charter school networks. But ultimately, this should be in really the hands of everybody, right? And so we want to be able to go to public spaces, and ultimately, to be enabled to go through those public spaces, we have to go through government. And so the idea is that we start in privatized spaces, we grow, we learn, and then ultimately, through outcomes-driven analysis, we can sort of incentivize government agencies and larger departments of education to partner with us.
All right, big round of applause for everybody. You guys are awesome, awesome. Each company has a table in the room, so make sure you make your way around and say hello to them. We are now going to devote 10 minutes for our community ask offer, and anybody who has an ask or an offer and wants to queue up over here, come on up. Keep it to 30 seconds or so, and allow everyone to have a spot, okay? Come on up.
Thanks a lot. Hi, everyone. I'm Jim Cavuto from Neurotech Reports. Wanted to let you know tomorrow is our 9th annual Bioelectronic Medicine Forum. It's at the New York Academy of Medicine. If you're a member of NeuroNYC, you qualify for a $300 discount. See me afterward, or we can give you the link. There's some special flyers for you. Also, if you're not already, you can get a free subscription to Neurotech Reports by visiting our website, www.neurotechreports.com. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Jeff Paul. I'm the founder of Zeotag. Just want to let everybody know, after the videos are recorded and published, we're going to be using the Zeotag AI platform on them to analyze all of the presentations. So if you presented today, please get a hold of me so I can get you your report. And if you'd like to see this event again and make it searchable and navigable, come to the Zeotag website. Thanks so much. Bye.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Jose. You might remember me as the check-in guy. In 10 days, on April 23rd, a group called the Alatra Group is doing an event on micro and nanoplastics impact on public health. It'll be here at Civic Hall on April 23rd. It is called Micro and Nanoplastics Impact on Animals and Nature, but it's a public health and climate event.
Whoa, no line. Pretty cool. I just wanted to say hi since this is my first New York Tech meetup in a while. My name is Travis Millman. I am the CEO of Valley of Death Partners. That's right, Valley of Death. For those of you especially doing kind of science-forward startups, deep tech of any sort, it's a perilous journey. Reimbursement issues, regulatory issues. I've built a virtual network of talent that's willing to work on really startup-friendly terms. So if anyone's interested, happy to have a no strings attached combo about it and talk about what we can do to help, because helping people cross the valley of death is what we're here to do. Thanks so much.
Hi everyone, my name is Vladimir. I'm founder of Pulse NYC. We organize AI Week New York, May 11th, 17th. and also Brooklyn Tech Expo on May 12th. If you have any questions, feel free to find me in chat. Thanks.
Hi, everybody. My name is Laila, and I work with EdCorpus. We help people build active implantable devices. If you're an early stage startup, come and chat with me.
Hi, everybody. My name is Brandon Hogstead. I'm an AI builder with Morpheus Innovation. I build custom MCP servers and AI agents. I found this event using a weekly event discovery agent that I built. I'm going to be publishing a public version of it soon, and if you want to talk more about AI agents, come talk to me.
All right, we're light on cues or ask offer tonight. That's all right. Okay, before we close things out, I want to inform you of two upcoming events. First, we have Civic Health comes to Civic Hall on June 16, bringing together leaders focused on shifting innovation and investment toward prevention and health promotion for the broader population, not just the most profitable markets. So the event, produced in partnership with FedCap, Digital Health Hub Foundation, and Startup Health, brings together leaders in the civic health space and focuses on the urgent need to support the other 99% by advancing solutions that help people stay healthy before they ever need clinical care. Wow, that's a mouthful. Use the QR code to learn more and register. And also, please know that our next meetup is on Monday, May 11, when we will focus on accessibility tech. We'll be partnering with our very own Jian Horn of Give Beauty Wings, the Google team heading up the soon-to-be-open Accessibility Discovery Center, and the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities. And with that, that's it. Go forth. The bar and the food are open. Connect, eat, drink, and see you next time. Thanks, everybody. Oh, everybody, group photo. Erica, we're going to do a group photo. Sorry?